How's it going? Welcome along to module number 5. You've done a great job making it along this far in the program. So hats off, give yourself a pat on the back. Now this module is all about the messages that you create to promote the product and the products that you've chosen. The route to market is absolutely critical. You can choose the best product to promote. You can even choose the best story or angle to actually promote that product. But if you create the messages to convey that and communicate that in the wrong way, nobody's going to buy a single thing from you. So that's why this is extremely important. I'm going to show you the best ways to get noticed, the best ways to stand out, how to create messages that people actually love to read and entertain them, and how to get your messages to go viral. If you do this right, you'll get daily feedback from people saying, thank you for that, it was a great email, it was a great message, I love reading this, I love getting your stuff, all the while you're pitching products to them. It's an amazing feeling. I used to get caught up thinking you had to put free content out there to try and get people to like you and build that trust and credibility. But if you do this in the right way, you can actually put a pitch or a promotion out every single time. And you can totally forget about moving the so-called free line and just promote stuff all the time, make sales all the time, while still keeping people very, very happy, entertained and educated when they're seeing your messages. Here's how you do it.
Okay, so first off, what is a freaking message anywho? Well, a message is basically anything that you can use to send out and put anywhere to make a commission. So it could be an email, it could be a blog post, it could be a Facebook post, it could be a tweet, and any promotional content that you put out or post anywhere, right? So we are going to be focusing on this module on email, although in a later module we're going to cover how to get your messages out there and make commissions even if you don't have a list. So these are the 4 steps to hitting pay dirt by putting out promotional messages. Firstly, you've got to get your message delivered, right? If it doesn't get delivered, it doesn't even get in front of people, then you are screwed. Nobody's going to see it. Next, once it's delivered, you need to make sure that it gets seen. So in the case of email, yes, it can be delivered, but are people actually going to see it? Are they going to take notice of it? Once they've seen it, you then need to make sure it gets read. Right? So you need to draw curiosity, you need to make people want to read the messages that you put out there. And number 4, once they've actually read it, does it get clicked on? So if you can create messages in a way that get delivered, get seen, get read and get clicked, you're going to make a lot of commissions. And that's what this module is all about. Now what I'm about to share with you changes everything. And that is a really big claim, so I want to justify it right now. Since I've started applying the methods I'm going to teach you in this module, my business has exploded. Earnings have gone up, open rates have gone up, click-through rates have gone up, feedback's gone up, positive praise that I've been getting about these messages and about these emails going out has also gone up. But more importantly than that, I'm having more fun in the process. I don't know about you, but if sometimes you have to sit down and think, oh well, how am I going to write a promo for this, or how am I going to write a message about this affiliate product, and it kind of fills you with dread. What I'm about to show you is a way that you can do this and have lots of fun in the process whilst making a ton of money at the same time. So let me just share some stuff with you. Here's a bunch of earnings, affiliate earnings that I've generated using the process I'm going to share with you in this module. But it's not just me, right? Here's another guy that I taught this method to, Ben Schaffer. Partway through the promo, he did the style of email that I'm going to teach you, the style of messages. And again, remember, even if you're not sending email, if you're going to be doing this on Facebook or blog or just putting it out there in tweets or whatever, you can still apply everything in this module. So don't think this is not for you if you don't have a list. It definitely is. This is everything about what you create in the message to get people to buy. So Ben, partway through his promo, using these tactics, did 1.6k, and then by the end of it, I don't know if you can see that over here, total figure of $4,483 in sales. But it's not just that, it's the feedback that you get when you put these messages out. Look at this guy, I receive your emails, I read most of them too, I stay on your list because you impress me as being authentic, and I credit you for helping me achieve clarity and focus. Right? I didn't used to get emails like this before using this method of creating content. I didn't used to get emails like this. You know, I just didn't get that engagement. An engagement like this from people, reaction like this, gets you sales. Here's more. This is a guy over on Facebook, loving the emails, by the way, best storyteller ever. Another guy, your emails are right to the point of the matter and interesting to read and a lot of times funny. You always put a smile on my face. And you might think, well, yeah, that's great. It's good to get positive praise, but what does it really matter? Most of these guys that I'm showing you here that have interacted with me and resonated and connected with the messages that I put out, which were all pitches, by the way, no free content. Every single message is a promotion. Those that have resonated with these messages like this, a lot of them have gone on to buy high-ticket stuff from me. They've gone to buy my coaching program, or they've bought other products. Here's another couple of people. Hi, Michael. Thank you for continuing to send me your emails. You are funny, engaging, honourable, and incredibly smart. I will be working with you soon. Another one. You just seem to hit the nail on the head and make me read your emails to the end. You're special. Another good dude. Sam Mann. Dude, you love your post, man. The first sentence pulls me into it. So this is all proof and testament to the fact that if you apply what I'm about to teach you, you can get this kind of feedback. And this feedback equals money because people love you, and rather than deleting your messages, they actually look forward to receiving them. And remember, every message is a pitch, but it's done in a way that is both educating and entertaining. And I need to give reference to somebody in a second that's taught me this stuff, which I will do momentarily. But first off, let's talk about the anatomy of a money-making message. How do we actually break this down? We'll look at the components, and then I'll get into some detail on screen and show you some examples of how you can do this. So firstly, it's the subject line, right, or the headline. So if it's an email, we call it a subject line. If it's a blog post or something you're going to be putting on Facebook or anywhere else, it's the headline. It's the first thing that you write. That is all critical. We're going to look at that in depth. Next, it's the opening sentence. So what do you say next? What's the first thing you say after the headline? Very, very important. Then you go in with a story. We've spoken a little bit about story in the module all about angle. We're going to get more into that in this module. And then after you've done the story, you then lead with a lesson. Right? You then say, okay, well, that was a story. The lesson of this and the point of this is X, Y, Z, and therefore you should go and buy this product. So you have that call to action after the lesson. So you open with a subject line. You then have the opening sentence, which links to the subject line, gets them wanting to read more. You have a story, then you have the lesson, and then you have a call to action. Now, I need to give huge, massive, humongous props to a guy called Ben Settle for teaching me this stuff. Much of what you'll learn in this module, I learned directly from Ben Settle. So let me just tell you what you need to do to get more in-depth training on this area. Okay, so after you've gone through this module, you need to go and check out bensettle.com. Get on this guy's list. Right? If you want to learn this and learn more about what I'm going to train you on in this module, you need to join Ben Settle's list. So go to bensettle.com, enter your email address, and get on his list. And buy anything that he puts out. I've tried to buy as much as I can of all the stuff. I've tracked down old stuff, kind of deleted things. This guy is the legend when it comes to writing emails and generating sales with emails. So just needed to give Ben Settle props because I've learned a lot of what I'm going to teach you in this module from him. Okay, now before we dive into some examples, I've got an important notice for you. All the messages you're about to see are copyright protected. Right? So don't swipe them, don't steal them, don't plagiarize them because my lawyer will hunt you down. If you want ready to earn copy and profit done for you commission machines with all the messages already created for you and a bonus to give away to your buyers, then you need to upgrade to the Done For You service, clicking on the link at the top navigation on this page. Now, I'm going to give you 7 ways to create hot selling messages later on in this module so you can learn from them and use them to create your own messages. But first, here are some examples that I want to show you that follow this following formula. Right, I've already spoken about this: the subject line, opening sentence, story, lesson, and call to action. So let's go through some examples that show you this in action. Okay, here's the first example, Lord of the Ringtones. So this is a play obviously on the movie or the book title Lord of the Rings. This makes you think, right? This is the subject line and the headline. What is this about, Lord of the Ringtones? So that's the subject line, curiosity, and it's got the kind of pop culture reference. Then the opening line. So I know this guy, ... It's like, okay, well, tell me more. Who's this guy? He must be the Lord of the Ringtones. What does that mean? Right, so you're drawing it in. You're getting the curiosity. You're getting them to click, not click, but scroll down and keep reading. So I know this guy, ... And the chances are you know him too. And back in the day, before he became a famous internet marketer, he used to sell ringtones. What is this? Right? What is this? It is a story. Right? Stories sell. They get you hooked. They get you reading it. If I'd have just opened this up and said, you should buy this product, it's all about traffic, it will make you, get you hits, whatever, I would have deleted it. Everybody would have deleted it. They've seen it 1,000 times. Has anybody seen a subject Lord of the Ringtones 1,000 times with a story about a guy who used to be a famous internet marketer selling ringtones? No. Therefore, people read it. You know, when ringtones just came out and was super cool, he spotted a wave before everyone else and rode that sucker out to the tune of Mucho Moolah. What if you could spot the next big thing and get in on the ground floor before everyone else? Well, you can. The next big thing, as you already know by now, because this was a message partway through a campaign, is Instagram. It's big, it's free, it's untapped. So this is a story. Now we're leading into the product. Right? So we're saying the story was, look, this guy made a ton of money tapping into something that was new and lucrative, ringtones when they first came out. What's also fairly new and lucrative is Instagram. So if you can tap into that, you're going to make money as well. And then we have the call to action. Right? You have until midnight to copy this method before the page gets taken down, link, and off they go. Right? So that combines all the components. You've got the subject line, you've got the opening sentence, which draws people in further, you've got a story, you've got a lesson, which is basically, look, you want to tap into the next big thing before everyone else, and then you've got a call to action. Go and watch this before the page is taken down. Okay, next one. Subject, I punched my wife this morning. This got an incredible response in terms of open rate, click-through rate, and just positive praise from people. You cannot ignore a headline like that. Right? I've got to emphasize at this point, the stories that you tell must be real. You can't make up stories. This is not about being, once upon a time, fairy tale stuff. It needs to be true stuff, either true things that happened in your personal life or true things that have happened in your business life, or true things that have happened for other people, right? So I punched my wife this morning. You want to know what this is about, right? Now, you can't send this if you don't have some sort of existing relationship with the people that you're communicating with, right? If you just got a list and you just email this out as the first email, they'll be like, what the hell? Who is this dude? But if you've sent a few promos already and they see this, they're going to want to know what's going on. So let's read it. It's a story, right? I punched my wife this morning. This has got big curiosity. People want to know what the hell this is about. Don't get me wrong. Okay, right, I will need to read on further. I'm no wife beater. For one, she could kick my buttski because she goes to boxing lessons at our local gym every Monday morning, and today she took me. It started out well. What is this? It's a story. Well done, right? It's a story. It draws you in. I want to know what's happened here. It's got nothing to do with an internet marketing product or whatever, because that stuff is boring as hell and nobody pays any attention to it and gets deleted. So it started out well. I was holding my own during the exercises, but then things went wrong. We partnered up, and my missus was holding the pads as I got gloved up, looking like a cross between Rocky and Mr. Muscle. The exercise was simple on paper. Punch the pads. However, I was so tired, I mistimed it and ended up punching my wife, and I walloped her square in the face. Fortunately, it had about as much venom as a gerbil and ended in laughter, not tears. But my point... So here we go. We're leading over to the lesson. Okay, so we've got subject line, headline, we've done that. Opening sentence, we've told the story. Now we're segueing into the lesson. My point, timing is everything. If you get the timing wrong, you can punch your wife in the face by accident, or you could make the mistake and miss out. So don't make the same mistake I did and get your timings wrong tomorrow, because it will cost you. You see a short while ago, and then we lead into the product. This is the product, but if you get your timings wrong and you don't and you miss out on this, then you're going to miss out. So we have the call to action, right? Get up early tomorrow, eat some raw eggs, punch some meat, and skip on over to the checkout to grab your 50% knockout discount before it's pulled down at the end of the day. So you get the idea, right? We've got this call to action, but it's themed, right? This email is themed. It's all about boxing. Right, so boxing, I punched my wife. The story is about boxing. It's about timing. You've got to make sure you get your timing right. So don't miss out on this and skip over, eat some raw eggs like Rocky, punch some meat, and go and grab this product. So there you go. That's another example. Next. Subject, Frank Kern fanboyitis more deadly than Ebola? ? This is one of the best emails that I've ever written. I don't say that from a point of ego. I just mean results, right? Results, open rates, click-through rates. And again, when I'm talking about emails, you can use this wherever, because you've got this storytelling style now when you start adopting this, you can post this on Facebook and it will get engagement, it will get shares, it will get viralocity, right? People will start liking it and commenting it because it's not an out pitch, right? It's got value and it's entertaining. Okay, so Frank Kern fanboyitis more deadly than Ebola. There's a lot of things that make this subject line so powerful. First off, we're tapping into probably one of, if not the most well-known internet marketers, right? So people suddenly or instantly are like, what's he talking about Frank Kern for? What's this about? Next, we've got a question mark at the end, right? If you put a question mark in your headline or a subject, people want to know what's going on. Right? I don't know, what is the answer to this question? Whatever the question is, right? So that works. Then we've also got current affairs. At the time, Ebola was all over the place on the news. It was big news, right? So I kind of tapped into that that current event. And it's got the curiosity factor. How can Frank Kern fanboyitis, how can that be more deadly than Ebola? So there's a lot of things that make that subject line very, very effective. So what happens next? Well, it's the opening sentence, right? You've got to draw them in. The subject line is great, but if you just lead with something boring or you say the wrong thing as the first sentence, you've lost them. The symptoms start out innocently enough. So immediately people read this like, I need to know what the symptoms are. Have I got this? Maybe watching a video, joining a list, or attending a webinar. But then things deteriorate quickly, hovering on every word, liking every post on Facebook, buying every product, and thus Frank Kern fanboyitis takes hold. Now don't get me wrong, I've got nothing against Kern. Heck, he's a darn good marketer, and I've spent tens of Ks with him over the years. My issue here is with the fanboys of Kern and other gurus who spend all their time learning and worshipping and zero on application. They get an adrenaline kick from learning new stuff, always seeking out the next hit. They don't have the cojones to create, so instead they consume, and they get hooked. It's sad. You want to steer clear of these customers like Ebola. They're the ones who'll post critiques on web pages, products, despite never having created anything in their lives. Don't be a fanboy consumer, be a creator, because it's when you start creating content that you start creating income. So we've led over into the lesson. We had a story about these guys that are fanboys of Kern and other gurus and how bad it is if they're not creating stuff. Then we had the lesson, don't just do that, make sure you create stuff. And now we're leading into the pitch. Right? The easiest way to create these is with video. Here's how you can do it. You can make money with video in just a few mouse clicks using this and then the link. So there you go. There were some general examples on how to follow this formula of subject or headline, the opening sentence, a story, then a lesson about that story, and then a call to action. And when you do this in the right way, not only will you get more opens, more clicks, more sales, but people will actively look forward to receiving your emails. They'll forward them on to other people, right? It's not a case of, oh no, I'm not sure if I should be hammering my list. Your list will want to hear from you, right? I've done promotions where I've sent 5 emails like this during a day and I didn't get a single complaint because every single email offered value, was entertaining, and had merit in its own right. Okay, and we'll talk more about that on the next module as well. So let's get into now some of the 7 ways to create hot selling messages. So there are 7 key ways that you can use to create a message that's going to make a lot of sales for you. I've given you some general examples just now, but now we're going to go into some specifics of how you can create these messages and ideas that will give you inspiration if you're looking to create a message series like this and set up your own commission machine. Okay, way number 1 is to use a story. Well, I've already given you some examples of stories, but let me give you another one as well, so hopefully this will cement your learning here. So this is another story-based message. Subject, attack of the sugar-crazed 3-year-olds from hell. Right, so curiosity again, what is this about? What happened? Why were these 3-year-olds from hell? And how did they attack this guy? Next, opening sentence. You've got to think about this opening line like it's the first line in a book. If it doesn't get them to read on, you have lost the game. Once the cake came out, I knew it was all going to kick off. It was a recipe for disaster from the start, really. A community hall full of 3-year-olds, more sugar-based products than a Willy Wonka factory, and noisy party trumpets handed out to each and every minion. Then throw in a liberal sprinkling of blatant disregard for rules, boundaries, or parenting of any kind, and there you have the makings of an infernal Sunday afternoon. The first kid to toot on one of the trumpets was so pleased with himself. I'll even go so far as to say I smiled. It was kind of cute. But then the next kid tooted on their trumpet, and the exact same harsh tone came out of it. And the next, and the next, and the next. And before you know it, the whole room was reverberating to the dreadful cacophony of trumpet tooting toddlers all blasting out the same awful note. Kill me now. And it set me thinking, this is just like marketing. So what is this? This is the segue over to the lesson. Up until this point, I've been talking about a kid's party and how all these toddlers are running around blowing these trumpets, making a lot of noise, sounding all the same, right? And how initially they thought they were really, the first kid thought, oh yeah, this is awesome, I'm so unique, and then everyone else started doing it and they started trying to out-toot one another. And then we're leading into the lesson. It's like marketing. One marketer starts tooting on a monotone party trumpet and people take notice. Then another one pipes up tooting the same note. Then another. And before you know it, you don't hear trumpets, you just hear noise. And it makes you want to kill yourself. And this, my friend, is why you need to play a different tune online. So this is talking about what we're covering in this module, right? If you write emails and write promotional messages for affiliate campaigns like most people do, here's the product, it's 50% off, it's good at SEO, it will get you traffic, buy, exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. You are a trumpet tooting toddler of doom, right? You sound like everyone else. So what I'm saying in this email is, look, I used to be tooting like every other marketer, but now I play my own tune thanks to this guy. And here's what you need to do, and then we've got the call to action. Okay, so that's another example of a story-based email. Okay, now let's talk about the checklist, which is method number 2 of 7 to create a hot selling email. Checklists are great to create in emails or promotional messages because they're quick to do. If you're stuck for something, just think of 7 ways to XYZ, or 7 things you must avoid when it comes to blah blah blah, or 7 things you really need to know about yada yada yada, and you've got yourself an email, right? So let me give you an example. Here we go. 5 things you should never do when shooting video on your iPhone. So if you've got an iPhone, you're shooting video, guess what? You're going to open this email. You're going to want to read it. Right? What are these 5 things? So we get into it. I've seen some truly horrendous videos online. So here's a quick guide to avoiding the 5 biggest mistakes. And then I just go through them. Number 1, don't use the red record button to start recording because it causes shake and messes up the start of your video. There's a little known way you can start recording without touching the screen. So this is what we call kind of a curiosity bullet, right? Or a desire bullet, something like that. These are bullets where you kind of tell people a little bit, but you don't give the full solution, right? They're only going to get the full solution if they buy the product. Number 2, don't use the built-in mic to record the audio. It sucks. There's a much better option which gives you crystal clear sound with no hisses or crackles. Okay, cool. What is that? Number 3, don't record with the iPhone held upright because it will screw up the formatting. There's a special pro grip you need to use to hold your iPhone in the right way to get the best results. Number 4, don't use the default recording tool which comes with your iPhone because it's too limited. It messes up the focus and it distorts natural colors. There's a secret app you can download you should use instead. Wow, I mean, if you're recording on iPhone, you want to know this stuff. Number 5, don't use the standard lens which comes with your iPhone because it flattens the depth of field and makes every video look homemade. There's a cool add-on lens you need to get for just a few bucks which makes all your videos instantly look more professional. So that's the checklist. Now I've got the call to action. Find out all the things you should be doing so you can start shooting Hollywood quality videos which bring in more profits to your business here. And then we've got the link with the call to action. So there you go, that's a checklist. It's a simple but powerful way to create sales-getting promotional messages for your affiliate campaigns. Now these type of checklist emails are always easier to do when you've invested in the product, which is why I always recommend you invest in any product that you promote so you can talk about it in more detail, and when people buy it, if they've got questions, you can field some questions about it. It just gives it that sense of authority and credibility about the promotion you're putting out there. Okay, let's move on to way number 3, which is using a Q&A or an FAQ. Now these are great to include towards the end of a campaign. If you've been doing a week-long campaign, you've maybe mailed or promoted people for a number of days to 3 or 4 days, they're going to have questions, right? You may even have got questions through Facebook or through email, people saying, yeah, that's great, but what about this? Does it do this? Has it got this? right? And it's a great time to include them towards the end of the campaign where you've got a lot of people sitting on the fence, because you'll be kind of pushing them and crushing these people to make a decision, right? So if you can put out a Q&A or an FAQ towards the end of the campaign, it's going to get a lot of people off the fence. Now, when you do this, make sure that you reframe all the questions to have yes answers. So, you need to get in the habit of turning it around. So if you don't want any of your answers to be no. So for example, if somebody asks you a question, do I need to spend anything else after I've bought this product? Obviously the answer to that, if the answer to that is no, you would want to rephrase the question. Is this the only investment I need to make to be successful with this? Yes. Right? You want every answer to say yes, of course, to get people on what we call the yes train, so that everything looks positive. If you see a no, that's kind of a mental block. Okay, so let's take a look at an example of a Q&A email. Okay, here we go. FAQ about this Instagram thing, and it's deadline day to grab it. Now what I found is you don't want to be too clever or cute when you're putting out a Q&A email, right? You always want to say that it's got an FAQ or your question is answered, but what I try and do is make it a little bit different so it stands out if anyone else is putting FAQ or Q&A type emails out, is put some extra stuff in the subject or the headline, right? So as I've done here, and it's deadline day to grab it. So I'm just almost incidentally, I'm not putting any pressure on them, I'm just saying, look, by the way, it's deadline day. Now, as we spoke about earlier, if you're promoting something that's evergreen, then there isn't going to be a deadline for that product because it's just always on sale. But you can create a deadline by offering a bonus and saying it's only available until this time. Okay, so you can create that scarcity. Right, so let's get into the email. Okay, I'm guessing by now you've at least watched the start of this Talk of the Town webinar replay. Fact is, on the webinar and since then with the replay, I've been getting a ton of questions. So let's dive right in. So here we go with the questions. Is this real, legit thing that actually works? Yes. And then I go on and explain it. Right? So every answer you'll notice is yes. Talk about it. Okay, so if you're just thinking of stomping up the beans and sitting back doing nothing, then don't invest this. Next question. Is this above board? Yes. Okay, and we talk about it. Okay. Is the investment to get this... Here we go. That's the question I mentioned a minute ago. Is the investment to get the software and training the only cost involved? Yes. Once you're in, you're in. Right? This all sounds great. Can I see this in action? Yes. So we do the Q&A and then we have the call to action. Right? By the way, the webinar and the replay or whatever the action is in this case, you've got until this time to go and get this. Here you go. Here's the link. So that's Q&A emails. Very, very good for longer campaigns towards the end of the campaign. If you're just blasting something out for a day or 2 days, which I don't really recommend, you should be really doing longer campaigns, which we'll talk about and later on in the training. So if you're doing longer campaigns, then dropping in a Q&A email like this is really going to help your conversions. Okay, let's talk about the next way to generate hot selling messages. Number 4 is being controversial. Now, I'm not going to show you all the emails in this case. I'm just going to talk you through the subject lines and why they worked. So, first one, doodle schmoodle. So this was against doodle videos. I basically came out and said, look, doodle videos suck. Because doodle videos are massive online. They're the top selling product, on JVZoo network. And personally, I'm not a big fan. I mean, they're kind of fun. I can see that they're fun to create, but I've yet to see a massive launch or one of the top sellers on JVZoo actually using a doodle video to sell. Right? So that was my point, and I went off and said, look, that's the point. You don't see these actually being used by any of the top players. What they use is this, and that's why you need to go and buy this. So controversy, going against the grain. You need to back it up though. You can't just go out there and say, oh yeah, internet marketing sucks, or this guy's a total scam fest, or SEO is a total myth. It doesn't exist. You've got to be able to justify it and back it up with logic and reason. Next, this is another one that did awesome. Why Frank Kern is dead wrong. People went crazy for this email. Like what I did in this email is I said, look, I love Frank Kern, which I do, and I've invested a lot of money with him, which I have, and I've got a lot of value from him, which I have. But I said, look, there was one thing that he told me when he was consulting for me, and that was he didn't really feel that me doing kind of lower ticket launches was the good thing to do. He believed that high ticket was the way to go, and launches weren't really a cool thing. But I don't believe that. I think that's wrong, and I explained so in that email and said, here's the reason why, here's the amount of how much money I've made from doing launches, this is what other people have done from doing launches, and here's a product that will teach you how to do launches. So that worked really, really well, but you can't do it all the time, and you have to justify why you're saying these things. Next, the case for bombing the Warrior Forum. Again, this one went down very, very well, right? It's controversial. People are like, what the hell? He's on about bombing the Warrior Forum? I opened up and I said, look, I'm not talking about physically harming or killing anybody, right? We're talking metaphorically here, but I think the world of internet marketing might be a better place if we bombed the Warrior Forum and got rid of all the whingers and whiners on there that do nothing but complain and don't create anything and basically just go on and criticize everything, and are in a perpetual state of learning rather than earning. Right, so I justified it. It wasn't the whole Warrior Forum. I was talking about these specific guys. I was talking, okay, it's not just the Warrior Forum, it's anybody that kind of fits this description. And then I led on to the lesson and said, look, you want to make sure that you're not the whinger, you're not the whiner, you're not the guy that's just learning, you're actually applying everything and learning. If you are that type of person, go and grab this and it will really help you. Next, evil churchgoers ruined my life. This is a true story about my ex-neighbours who were an absolute nightmare to live with. They do all kinds of crazy stuff. They erect a fence down the middle of our property and try and charge us for it. They cut down trees in our property and try to get us to pay for stuff that wasn't ours, and just crazy, crazy stuff. And right towards the end of my time living there, I was amazed to discover they were regular churchgoers. And so that's where this message came from. Evil churchgoers ruined my life. And the story is, look, you can't just go to church and read the scriptures. You've got to apply it. You've got to be a good person, you need to be acting, you need to be putting into action the Christian scriptures, right? In that example. And then I led over onto internet marketing. He said, look, you can't just learn the scriptures of internet marketing and expect to make money. You've got to apply that and be a good internet marketer day in, day out. You can't just, go to the internet marketing church every Sunday, have stuff read out to you and think that's going to change your life. You've got to actually apply it. So that was that one. Okay, let's now get into number 5, which is pop culture references. These are really fun to create. I have a lot of fun creating these. And people have a lot of fun reading them, and they get a really good response rate as well. So this is basically thinking about anything to do with music, cinema, movies, TV shows, anything that's in the kind of popular, culture, the sort of popular psyche. So these are just twists. So this was one, CSI Internet Marketing. So this is where I basically said, I've been seeing many internet marketing crimes close up, where newbies have kind of died on the scene and the chalk outline is there, and went on to explain how to avoid that and don't become the next victim of CSI internet marketing. Keeping up with the Guru Dashians. I'm sure you'll be aware of the Kardashian family and how the fact they're everywhere, and there's this series on TV, Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Keeping up with the Guru Dashians, so this was just about how to maintain a guru lifestyle and how to have their level of income. Gordon Ramsay would kill me for this. So you have world famous chef. In this example, I told a story. I was like, I've just cooked a meal for a bunch of people that came around to my house. I didn't do it from scratch. I cheated using a done-for-you sauce that was already ready-made, but people didn't know and they liked it, and they thought it was delicious, and they would give me all these compliments. But Gordon Ramsay would kill me for this. And it's like internet marketing. You shouldn't slave over a stove for hours and hours if you can get a done-for-you website in a jar like this. Okay, so that was the lesson and the call to action. Game of Moans, instead Game of Thrones. That was just a rant about something. This one was fun. Trapped online, surrounded by douchebags, low on funds. You get an extra bonus prize if you know what that is before I reveal it here. It was in reference to. It's actually from the movie Evil Dead. It's the tagline from the movie poster for Evil Dead, which is something like trapped in a town, surrounded by zombies, low on fuel. Right, so I just took a spin on that. I wasn't necessarily looking for people to recognize that. It just was a great inspiration for me to come up with something. So this was all about being trapped online, surrounded by douchebags, low on funds, and explaining, is this you? Are you trapped online? You're surrounded by all these guys that are trying to pitch you stuff and it's a total scam fest. Are you low on funds? Well, this will help you. This was one of the most popular ones I've ever put out there. And if you buy the done for you machines, the package of several packages of multiple machines where you get 7 done for you, you will get this one as part of that and the rights to use it, which is American Idol. And I think I mentioned this in a previous module. People loved this one. This was about how most Americans and most people generally, not just Americans, but most people around the world are lazy, and that they just don't take time to do stuff, and they'd rather sleep and watch TV than actually earn money. But it only takes a few minutes to make money if you know what you're doing. Here's the link, go and buy this thing. So that one did great. I See Dead Sheeple. This was a reference, of course, to the Sixth Sense movie, I See Dead People. So this was about everyone trying to do the same thing, following everyone else, and how it's not really effective, and therefore you need to do something different like this. Click, buy the link as a commission. And last one, Captain America, which I think I've mentioned already. Play on Captain America, how all our heroes have kind of let us down, but there is still one hero out there, and he's doing great, and his name is blah blah blah, and you should go and buy this product. So there you go. There's some examples for pop culture references. It's just about keeping abreast of what's out there. Look, what's big on TV. You don't have to watch all this TV because most of it's crap, but you at least need to know what's going on, what the big movies are, that kind of thing. Next, number 6 is curiosity. Curiosity will always get you opens, right? But you need to follow through with it to make sure you get clicks and sales. But let me give you some examples here. I slept with the 7 dwarfs last night. This one was a lot of fun. People were like, what the hell is this about? Cheney slept with the 7 dwarfs. So this was a story about, I was in bed with my wife and my boy, who was, I think he was about 6 months old at the time, and he couldn't sleep, so I ended up sleeping with us. So as I was laying awake at night, I thought, oh, this is going to make a good email, because I was grumpy, right? My wife was like the doc because she was giving him medicine. At the end of this hellish night, I was really sleepy. I was feeling dopey, and I thought, oh yeah, the 7 dwarfs. So I explained this story in the email. So I slept with the 7 dwarfs because I'm kind of so sleepy and dopey. I'm not quite with it today. So here's the link. I don't have time to talk about it, but you really need to get this or something like that. I can't actually remember how I linked it through, but it had a lesson, obviously, and then a call to action. Next one, Obama caught in Swedish massage with rabbits, brackets true story. This is a crazy ass true story, right? About the US government funding to the tune of, I think, $300,000 research into giving rabbits massage to see if there are positive effects to be had from massage. So that's where that comes from. And then I led it in and said, okay, watch out what your government spends your money on, right? Because it was the public's money that this was been spent on. Taxpayers' money has been spent, $370,000 on massaging rabbits for a science experiment. So you can't control what the government spends your money on, but you can control what you spend your own money on. And if you want to make a smart investment today, go and get this. Next one, what never to do in internet marketing. So curiosity right in your face. Well, oh God, I'm going to have to read this. What should I never be doing? And then I listed off all the things you shouldn't be doing, and then here's the thing you should be doing. Okay. Way number 7 is popular phrases. Taking popular phrases and kind of putting a different spin on them. Right? The easiest way to show you this is just to give you some examples. First off, the bigger they are, the harder they sell. And I'll need to re-emphasize here right now, all of these are copyright protected, right? These are my phrases. I don't want to see any of these subject lines going out unless you've got that done for you package, right? If you've got that done for you package, great, you get the rights to use some of these and all the emails and the done for you bonuses. If not, don't use them, we'll hunt you down, okay? So the bigger they are, the harder they sell. Now, normally the phrase is the bigger they are, the harder they fall. But this was about how most people think that gurus and marketers get really big and successful by doing the hard sell, whereas actually it's not true. They just sell smart. They don't sell hard. Next, cometh the hour, cometh the spam. So this is from the phrase, cometh the hour, cometh the man. This is something I put out towards the end of a deadline, saying, yeah, okay, the deadline's nearly coming, and yeah, I know I'm sending you a lot of emails about this, but I'm excited about it, and I'm hopefully making these emails entertaining for you and educating. And if you want to get off my list, you can click the unsubscribe link. But let me tell you, this is really important. You need to go and check this out. So that was cometh the hour, cometh the spam. Caught between a rock and a hard sell. That's a turn on the phrase caught between a rock and a hard place. Caught between a rock and a hard sell was talking to the prospect saying, yeah, I know it's difficult sometimes. You want to make money, but you don't want to do the hard sell. You don't want to be a cheesy salesman. Well, there is actually a middle ground. You can use something, this tactic will actually help you make sales a lot more easily without resorting to the hard sell. And here it is. Okay, so that was a link. All bark and no sight. See a spin on all bark and no bite. This was about guys that were, online saying, oh yeah, I'm doing awesome, I'm doing great, but they don't have a website. They're all talk, right? So you need a website. It's the starting point for generating income here's the link to go and get one. Next, scream if you want to sell faster. That's pretty obvious, rather than scream if you want to go faster. So there you go. That's some examples for you. Now, to give you more input and inspiration here, let's talk about some websites you can check out to get ideas. And I use all of these regularly. So first off, let's take a look at thefreedictionary.com. Okay, here we are on thefreedictionary.com. You want to go over to idioms here, right? Now, idioms are phrases, things that, people say, some of these popular phrases, right? So this is what you can use for these popular phrases. Now, you'll get some random ones down here, which is sometimes a good idea. Actually, I've never seen this before. Not to suffer fools, pump someone up, a greasy spoon, ahead of the pack. So these might give you some ideas, or you can just type things in to this little search box up here, and you can get some ideas. So if I put in, let's just say cat, right? Well, 1 second. If we go over to the idioms, look at all these idioms here. Like a cat on a hot tin roof, right? So you could say, someone's like a cat on a hot tin website, or whatever. You get the idea. It's difficult to create these totally off the cuff, but you get different ones. If I was to go and put, let's just say, put the word traffic in here. Let's see. Okay, so we've got traffic jam. Take a long walk off a short pier. Right? So you could say, oh yeah, now I'll give you an example. You just go take a long walk off a short sales letter or something like that. So it's a spin on a common phrase. So you need to do a little bit of research on this, but this gives you the phrases, to save you the time having to come up with them and find them. But really, it's a case of using this, and also as you're going through life and you listen to people on TV and listen to people in conversation, they come up with these common phrases. Like, oh, how can I spin that round? Is there any way I can make that about marketing or about a product, right? So you've just got to be on the lookout for these things. It's a fun thing to do. It's like a little game. Okay, next is dig.com, which is great for getting headline ideas. Let's go and take a look at that. Okay, so here we are on dig.com. So these are just random articles about just about everything, right? And I'm not talking about stealing these, heaven forbid, stealing these subject lines, but you use them as inspiration. So, and you can also see, which is the cool thing, how many people have kind of shared this. This one's had 20,000, for example. This one's had 454, and there'll be new ones on here, dig.com, every single day, right? So it's a good way for you to get ideas. So let me just do this right for you on the fly. I haven't practiced this, so let's just have a look, see how this goes. So this one, why the workday is so filled with meetings. So you could change it around. Why your inbox is so filled with marketing junk. What about? I won't do that one because it's only 35. Let me find one that's got a few more. Obviously, some of them you can't do, like news things that are very specific. I mean, you just can't change that around. Let's see if there's another one here. Like this one, right? After watching this Vine, you're going to put a gallon of milk in your sink, right? After reading this email, you're going to want to turn off your computer and run away, or something like. What is that? It gets them talking. So it gives you ideas. Let's have a look and see if we can come up with another one here. I mean, this like death hacks, email hacks, marketing hacks. Let's see, one sec. Like this one, the most powerful artwork I've ever seen. The most powerful product I have ever seen. Okay, that was dig.com. Great place for getting headline ideas. Now be careful when you're going through all these, because you can easily find yourself 15, 20, 30 minutes down the line having just gone down the rabbit hole of being drawn into these headlines and these stories, because that's how powerful they are, right? So watch out for that. Here's another good one to check out, menshealth.com. Again, these guys are great at creating headlines. Right, the 5-minute ab workout you need to try. The 5-minute free traffic method you need to try. I mean, they almost write themselves. 7 phrases you always see in job postings and what they really mean. 7 things. 7 things you always see in a sales letter and why they really get more sales. For example, right? Let's have a look at some of these over on the right-hand side. 3 signs your workout is horrible. Right? Or 3 signs your email marketing sucks. the best sex advice of all time, the best email marketing advice of all time, 13 insanely simple ways to be more likable. Easy, right? 13 insanely simple ways to be more profitable. Here we go. Fix these 3 clothing mistakes that make you look bad. Fix these 3 marketing mistakes that make you look bad. I mean, it's too easy. Do you know what I mean? It's too easy. So have a look at menshealth.com. It's another great example. Of course, you've got to back these up, right? When you come up with a subject, you've got to back it up with a story, with some proof or justification, and then of course you've got to link it to a lesson and to a product. That's just what we're talking about here is just getting that seed of an idea for a message. Okay, and lastly, we'll take a look at National Enquirer, which when I did a search just came up because I'm in the UK as National Enquirer UK.com, but you might find another version of it. It doesn't really matter, but let's go and take a look. So again, this is an excellent source of, frankly, ridiculous but also curiosity getting headlines. Kardashian housekeepers tell all. So, let's change it. Convicted gurus tell all. 5 years of dirty secrets exposed. Nasty fight between X, Y, and Z. Right? I mean, you get the idea. So let's have a look at some more. See if we can come up with some here. One sec. I ruined my email list. Why people are unsubscribing faster than a speeding bullet. What about this one? Email profits drama. Official launch records kept hidden until now. So you get the idea. It will give you inspiration, right? It might give you ideas, might give you a seed of that story that you can use. You are now armed to the hilt with commission creating ammo. You know the anatomy of a money-making message. You know 7 ways to create hot selling messages. And you've been given these creative juicer-uppers that you can see in the resources section. So that's it. Start applying all this stuff. Start creating your messages. And I'll see you on the next module.